Ugh, why am I not in my shed again? Well, Hey! What are these stupid tankers blocking my way? The tankers. You just said, shut up, duck. Well, I could possibly biff them out of my way, though that may cause a huge explosion. Oh well, no one cares. Oops. Exactly, Thomas. You are on the way to becoming a very complicated, explicit professor. And I bet you don't know a word you just said. Very well now, Thomas. Now, this should not have happened. You know what? See, this force should have been only 2 tankers, only instead it was 3. So that must mean that somebody snuck some nuclear waste or whatever it was and made it explode into the milk tanker, too. Spot on, Thomas. Why else do you think I'm wearing glasses? And I bet you don't know a word you just said. Spot on, Thomas. Why else do you think I'm wearing glasses? Well, if someone is actually willing to get their fat buffers up and get the breakdown train, I'll be more than happy. Soon, the mess was cleaned up and Toby pulled away with the remaining cars. Ding, ding. Later, Edward was puffing along when he had to stop at a red signal. He saw that at the nearby coaling plant there was an indignation meeting by the vehicles and the diesels. He also noticed that there were no other steamies there as well. Edward soon realized that eavesdropping was necessary. And who should be a ringleader of the group rather than Diesel 10? My fellow vehicles and, diesels, we have come together today to discuss why engines, also known as steamies, are so snobby. Hear, hear. Can I just go back to Toby now? We promised we would go on a date at around 8 o'clock and it's almost 7:30. Nonsense, Mavis. Besides, Toby is, after all, a steamy. Well, to me, steamies are more sensible than any of you jerks. I'm leaving. Mavis soon found Edward at the signal. She said hi. Hey, Mavis, said Edward. What's going on there? I don't know. They want to say something about taking over the railway without any steamies. Oh, shoot. I should tell Fatsalot. And no one knows, Fatsalot is also known as Fat Controller. Edward soon found him near the crowd of vehicles. Sir, not now, Edward. There's something interesting arousing. Sir, how did you ever graduate from college? Young Topple will not graduate from college because of the inability to read, write, and every other single thing you could think of. Magic inheritance? Oh, that kind of makes sense, but you sound suspicious. No, I'm not. Now, what do you want? Actually, sir, it's okay. I'll just, go away right now. That night, Edward told the other engines what he had seen. Stuff and nonsense, that's all, said Thomas, and all the other engines agreed with him. I don't know, a bunch of diesels and vehicles, road vehicles at least, lined up together in a big group seemed a little suspicious to me. Just because you're suspicious, it doesn't mean it's right. I'm going to bed. Even though Toby put some thought into what Edward said, maybe he's right, he thought. Early this morning, Toby arrived to find that all the vehicles and the diesels were all sleeping. Another difference was that some of the steamies that used to live there were back. But to Toby's dismay, Diesel 10 just slinked out of the shadow. Why, hello, old teapot, said Diesel 10, moving slowly toward him. Toby thought it best to take off, and he ran. Diesel 10 didn't even hesitate to run after him. Toby's speed began to pick up as he ran, and Diesel 10 couldn't even wait to catch him. Soon Toby found himself at the elevated station. Diesel 10 saw him and immediately ran as fast as he could. But Toby had reversed into his nearby siding. Diesel 10 couldn't stop in time, and he crashed right through. Bricks and stones fell everywhere. Oh, he groaned. Murdoch, who was nearby pulling cars, saw Diesel 10. Ooh, I'd better go tell Fatty, he yelled, and he rushed off. Murdoch did so, and Oliver ran with the breakdown train, with Toad carrying Sir Topham Hatt, who was very angry. Diesel 10, he said, I thought I had sent you away to the scrapyard or whatever it was. This is the second time you have caused trouble in my new exquisite station. You shall be punished, but I shall have to use a few days to figure out how. A few days, thought Diesel 10. That could be enough time to plan my revenge. Yes, sir, he said sadly. Then Sir Tom Hat walked over to the collapsed Knapford Station sign. And, he said, this sign was found on the ground. Did you crash right through the station like Gordon did? After Diesel 10 explained everything, the pack was helping to clean up the rubble. I shall have to order a new sign made for me at once, said Sir Tom Hat, and he sternly walked away. Diesel 10 felt terrible, but he also felt very proud. He thought to himself, from now on people shall be afraid of Diesel 10, for he will damage exquisite Knapford Station signs. But, Oliver said, that was the only Knapford Station sign. How did you know what I was saying? Well, when you're saying things out loud, I think I could hear you. Dang it, my stupid mouth, said Diesel 10 angrily. A few days later, the sign that was repaired was lowered onto Lego Thomas's flatbed. He had come back to help because the other flatbeds on the Take-Along Railway were way too small for that huge sign. After the sign was fixed on, Diesel 10 snuck into Harold's heliport to make his next plan. Heh, he giggled. Later today I shall unravel my newest and most devious plan ever, he said. Toby, who had come to take the trucks away, heard everything Diesel 10 said. Oh shoot, I guess we should be ready again, he said. That evening at the docks, Cranky was unloading a very heavy box. Oil and other dangerous fuels were kept in tankers, and they were loaded onto the ship too. Diesel 10 knew the time was right for him to do his plan. What Diesel 10 didn't know was that Toby was hiding in the shadows. Cranky was about to unload the box when Diesel 10 crashed right into some trucks. This would result in the fuels flowing into the water, which would make it explode. But Toby slipped right out of the shadows right at that time. Hold up, Diesel 10, he shouted. You again, said Diesel 10. I thought I did away with you. More likely you did away with the Knapford Station sign. I saw you and I heard what your plan was. After this ordeal, Diesel 10 quietly slipped away. Toby thought he did away with Diesel 10 until he saw him pick the truck up. Quietly, he uncoupled from the car and biffed it. Toby instantly tugged away, and the truck chased after him. Toby wanted to instantly stop this, so he parked on the siding, right in front of a very surprised Oliver. Toby, what on earth are you doing out this late at night? You're supposed to be asleep, scolded Oliver. Right at that instant, though, the truck raced by, but then crashed at the nearby intersection. And now both Toby and Oliver couldn't get out of the siding. I infer, Mr. Oliver, said Toad, that we will have to wait till morning to get our morning deliveries done. Don't you mean late night deliveries? Yes, of course, said Toad. Well, that's nice, said Toby. I didn't feel like trundling all the way back to my little siding. Ugh, and I think there's some bugs there now, too. Toby, for one thing, bugs have always been on the rails, said Oliver. In fact, said a nearby Elizabeth, you may have grinded them up by now. What the? Oh gosh, oh my gosh. I mean, I didn't even know that I would run them. Oh gosh, another disgusting gut. Oh, ugh. But finally, after many hours of complaining about butt guts, morning came. Bill and Ben, the tank engine twins, quickly pulled the truck away. Tom's the tank engine, who until now has only made a small cameo in this story, and had to stop at a signal. Dang it, said Thomas. How can I run my line properly if there are always these darn signals stopping me? But Thomas didn't know Diesel had slowly oiled up and coupled up to Clarabelle. Then they were pulled away from Thomas. But when the signal was finally down, Thomas tugged off like he usually would. Percy was having a drink of water when Thomas pulled up. Hey Percy, do you know where Eddie and Clarabelle have gone? I mean, don't tell me weird or anything, but something tells me they're gone. Percy gasped. Thomas, the very same thing happened to my mail. Thomas was shocked, and Percy explained the whole thing. Engines all over Sodor have had their freight taken away by Diesels, exclaimed Percy. And now, he added, no one is being really useful. And I know for a fact that one of them took Toad. Toad, said Thomas. Oliver must be frantic. He sure is, said Percy. Toad, where are you? Well, said Thomas, that's a load of hoopla. I'm gonna go find where our missing freight has gone. And he puffed away. It turns out all the missing freight was put inside the Thomas travel tote and was being guarded by Dennis. When Thomas saw him, he was very surprised. So that's where all our freight has been, he said. Even though I simultaneously knew this without finding out any hints or anything, I'm gonna go and find them again. Dennis, being very lazy, decided to slack off a little. Soon it was nightfall and Thomas needed to use the streetlights to see. The light shone down on Thomas in the dark night. Strange, he exclaimed. Tonight it's so much darker than usual. Guess it's becoming autumn. Soon Thomas was waiting under the light, while his driver went to look for a flashlight. Thomas was surprised to see that Sir Topham Hatt was the one with the light. He clearly showed the reflection on the big Thomas's face. It was very, very eerie in the dark night, and Thomas was surprised Dennis didn't even wake up yet. Soon Sir Topham Hatt was trying to unhitch the log that kept the Thomas together. Finally, it slid open, revealing a lot of freight inside. Cars that had gone missing for the past few weeks were finally found. Then there was trouble. The flashlight flickered off. Luckily, Harold was nearby, and he had a light. Harold landed near Thomas and Sir Topham Hatt. Thomas, what are you doing out here with the old bean this late at night? Thomas and Sir Topham Hatt explained everything. Oh, said Harold. Well, it's time for you two to go back home. What about the freight? Asked Thomas. Oh, you can get it tomorrow. When Thomas arrived back at the shed, some of the lights were still on, but he wondered, what will Deedleton do next? Thomas decided to stay up late, and he made his driver turn on the light. But the light also flooded some other engines' apartments. Some of them told Thomas to go back to sleep. But Thomas couldn't stop worrying about what Deedleton would strike. Coldy was returning home from night shift when he found a red signal. To him, it looked like a light was on in the coaling plant, where the Diesels lived. Thomas noticed this as well, but he decided to just forget about it and wait until tomorrow, and he fell asleep at once.